Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this last session on day 2. We're really pleased to see this crowd today. We were kind of worried since it's at 4:15. I know it's been a long day, but I'm excited to share with you today a session about creating cross-channel customer journeys. My name is Candace Carlson, and I'm a senior marketing consultant for ExactTarget. I'm joined today by Brett Billick, Vice President of Channel and Growth from RetailMeNot, Inc., as well as Bob Mariano, Manager of Digital Marketing from Raleys family of fine stores. So I wanted to start by sharing the title of an article that eMarketer released earlier this month, Cross-Channel Marketing, Hot But Not Happening. At first I was really annoyed because this is my session, and I was like, oh, that's great. But as I took a step back and really thought about the landscape, it seems like this might be kind of accurate. You know, as marketers, we're all talking about cross-channel marketing, but when it really comes down to the nitty-gritty of things, few companies are actively planning for a cross-channel future, and even fewer are executing on those plans. And I think the question that comes to mind immediately is why? You know, if we know this is important and we know that we're all talking about it, what's the problem? Like, why aren't we just doing it? And the answer, as I see it, in its most simplistic form, is that it's hard, right? This is a hard achievement to do as an organization. There are a lot of different things that can go on within your company, but you know, from 30,000 feet, these are the 3 big ones as I see it. So, organizational silos. This is, you know, about communication and messaging, so making sure social is talking to email, is talking to mobile, but also those fundamental things that we all have to deal with, like personal goals and P&Ls and, you know, revenue and budgets. If your retail team has a goal and your online e-commerce team has a goal, it's really hard to send customers back and forth. And oftentimes what happens is those teams talk about collaboration, but when it comes to actually collaborating, that falls to the wayside, or it becomes a little more difficult just because of the way some organizations are set up. In addition, you have to be able to expand your data set, right? Not only do you have to have access to disparate data systems in order to understand where your customers are at and where they're going, but you have to be able to analyze that data, and that can be a huge challenge. And then finally, you know, having the right tools in place, the products and tools. I think we've all probably been part of a marketing program that's really awesome, but it's super manual. And so you put all these processes in place and you have to follow them to a T, but ultimately somebody leaves, things get busy, and then those manual processes don't last because they just can't. But ultimately, you know, even though we have all these challenges and barriers, we know that now's the time, right? We have to overcome these barriers. We have to start thinking in a cross-channel fashion, and we have to simply just figure it out. Because the model of recency, frequency, relevancy, it just isn't as effective if you don't layer in channel. And so we have to take into account where our customers are most actively participating with us. And the way that I think about it is, how could I truly send you a relevant message if I don't even know where you are? I don't even know what you're doing. You know, why am I telling you to join Facebook when you've already joined Facebook? Why did I ask you to opt into mobile when you did it last week, right? We have to be on top of this. And I think we often talk in terms of the customer, and I just want to make sure everyone, just to kind of level set, this isn't really an altruistic goal, right? This is a goal that affects your bottom line. We know time and time again that when a customer interacts with us in multiple channels, they're more valuable. Their loyalty lasts longer, their overall lifetime value extends. This is an example of what Walgreens shared from the M-Commerce Summit earlier this year in May, and they found that customers that interacted with them in store, mobile, and online were 6 times more valuable than customers that just visited them in the store. I mean, that's huge. That can have a great impact on your business. So while it's hard and challenging, we know that we have to rise to this occasion. It's better for the customer, it's better for us. So in light of all that, we thought it would be really cool to invite 2 companies up here to the stage to share with you their story of the cross-channel experience. I have the pleasure of working with both RetailMeNot and Raleys, and I've just been so impressed with not only how they're executing things now, but how their companies are looking at their cross-channel future, what their vision is for the customer journey. So I'm going to hand it over to Brett.
Thank you. Hi guys, so a couple quick questions before seeing the name. Who here had heard of RetailMeNot? Oh, that's good. Who's used a RetailMeNot coupon online? How about in-store? Okay, we need to fix that. So, quick background on us. Sounds like most of you know, but RetailMeNot is the world's largest marketplace of digital offers and coupons. RetailMeNot, the brand, is our U.S. flagship. We have brands across the world as well. Voucher Codes is the biggest one we have in the UK. We have RetailMeNot Canada. Primarily what I'll be talking about is just our U.S. brand here. What we do is we are essentially also a platform. We want to connect our retail and brand partners with our consumers. So we've spent a lot of time building up the consumer footprint that we have, people who are actually looking for deals that are out there shopping or online shopping or on various devices. And what we want to do is give them the very best offers for them. That's our bread and butter, and meet their needs and meet the needs of our retail partners. Quick background, what I'll talk about mostly, I mentioned footprint. Currently, we have about 16 million email subscribers, and we also have about 16 million people who have downloaded our app. So there is a large kind of multi-category footprint that we have out there of our users who engage with us in these different channels, engage with us online. Last year during Black Friday through Cyber Monday, which as you can imagine is our bread and butter, we drove 2.5% of all e-commerce sales came through RetailMeNot properties. So it's a number we're hoping to grow. It's a number we're trying to enhance, obviously, as we build our business. But essentially what we're trying to do is also provide quite a few eyeballs. So quick state of the state on the digital coupon audience. 55% of adult internet users will redeem a digital coupon via any device. This number continues to grow. People continue to get more comfortable with the idea of using coupons online. It's not just your old gold stamps. It's not your old printing the Sunday circular out. People are getting more used to it, and they're doing a lot more of it. What's even more interesting to this is that 70% of those people plan to do this on a mobile device. We've seen a lot of these stats. Certainly you guys all have seen it in your own businesses. We've seen it during the conference, how mobile is growing at such a dramatic pace. We certainly are seeing the effects of that in our business, and we're watching how people are using their mobile devices, how they're triaging, how they're trying to look for deals, and how they're essentially shopping across all of our properties with all of our brand partners. Quick view of what a RetailMeNot customer is. We call them deal seekers. There's some of the demo information. Essentially, our deal seekers, we know that they are cross-device. We know that they're cross-channel. What they're looking for is ease. They're looking for relevance of deals and looking for good content. Give me a great offer when I'm looking to shop, and make it easy for me in a utilitarian way. So this is really the customer that we're talking about. We have spent some time on creating personas, doing a lot of segmentation work to find out how our audience splits within the deal seeker category. But certainly this category itself is growing, and this is what I would call our typical customer. So we embarked on a pretty large piece of work to just understand what the customer journey was. So there's been a lot of talk, certainly at the conference, around CX mapping. We went through this exercise earlier this year. We wanted to really watch our users, interview our users, spend time with them. In some cases, we followed them through the whole journey, which we hopefully they didn't think that was too creepy that we were following them. But these are the stages, right? People monitor. They're looking for deals. They're watching things. They're checking emails. They're out there looking and seeing. Then they make the decision to shop, either in-store or online. Then they prepare. It's amazing. You watch people as they're about to shop and they're thinking about the deals and how they're going to go do it. There is a process to it, right? You're actually getting ready to go to the store. You're thinking about the errands that you need to run. Certainly in our group, a lot of our core customer are moms and are managing a household and kids as well. So they have to think about the timing of how all this will work. Then they're actively shopping. They're out there or online looking, evaluating, finally making the purchase and sharing the deal. This is quite a journey. The whole process is a long process. It's not as simple as we thought it was. You know, before we went into this program and looked at what users were doing, it just kind of thought, oh, okay, well, you decide to shop and then you're just going to look for a deal and then we want to help you with that. But it is a lot more intricate than that. There are a lot more stages and certainly has a lot of implications for us. Here's some of the meat of really what I wanted to share with you guys. We took the customer journey and the 7 stages, and then we basically tried to map out, okay, what's the importance of this? Where are people really spending their time? And what does it mean from a cross-channel perspective? So number 1, the top row is average proportion of your total trip. People are actively shopping. It's 24% of the time. Second best is 18% purchasing. So that shopping experience, people spend a lot more time with. And one of the reasons they do is because they enjoy it. There is a very high level of enjoyment during that stage. They like to be in the store browsing and looking. They like to be online comparing deals, going to different sites, and really spending time in that part of the process. Funny enough, the monitoring part doesn't obviously create a whole lot of enjoyment, which is important because we are trying to deliver, from our standpoint, deliver part of our core value prop is to be the monitor for you as a user who's looking for deals, and we want to deliver on that. Then you go on the bottom row and you look at primary channel engagement, and you can see how these things evolved, and particularly what I would point to is email and mobile. Email certainly is in monitoring and deciding. If you get a really great offer that's 30% off, it will drive you incrementally to go to the store and make that purchase, and hopefully it will drive both a visit and a higher AOV, depending on what the thresholds might be. As you're there, though, your mobile device is the most important thing to you. It's obvious, but we also wanted to see this and hear this from our users. So what does that mean? Are they triaging with their mobile device, looking at the email? Are they checking more? Are they monitoring while they're going? Where is the most important part of our touch point with them that will help them complete the journey and have them enjoy the whole process and get the deal and shop, and as well, hopefully helping a lot of our retail partners. So this is really interesting. This is essentially 100 slides boiled down to 1, so I may or may not have done it justice, but it's a lot of work we're doing. So quickly, what I would say then next is for us, mobile is a big part of our story. As I mentioned, our app has a very large audience. We are always driving for cross-channel usage. It's a big part of what we're trying to do right now. And what we do is, certainly we want our users to go through processes to download the app. So number 1 is enabling location. We have 15,000 geofences with our app. So we are pinging you with a cha-ching sound that's become a kind of trademark of ours. And we've actually had focus groups where one woman said that she likes the cha-ching because it makes her feel like her RetailMeNot boyfriend is calling her, which I thought was funny. Then we ask you to tell us your favorite stores. Our users are really, really telling us a lot of their favorite stores. They're spending time. People like this concept. They like being able to tell us where they have an affinity for stores. Then what we basically do is we promise to send them alerts through push notifications as well as through email to those favorite stores. And we use other data and other forms of behavior implicit as well in how we make recommendations. But then what we do is we deliver on the promise of no matter where you are, never miss a great deal, essentially. This can be in a mobile push. So here's an example of a deal we did with Sierra Trading Post, which is a 30% off deal for people in Denver. There was a new store opening for Sierra Trading Post. Or we'll send it out an email and we'll target and deliver on a value prop for you. You've told us these are your favorite stores when there's really good new content from the store or special content that even the retailer may want to send out, then we will work with them and send it out to our user base and deliver it to them. Right now, the percentage of people who are subscribing to email for us is very high coming from the mobile app. So they're starting a direct relationship with us. They're telling us some of these signals, and then we are delivering it through email, knowing that half the time when they're opening their email, they're opening on a mobile device as well. So this is just the beginning stages of our story. We are actually a new client of ExactTarget. We signed on about 9 months ago, so we're just getting going. We're really excited about the possibilities ahead. Mobile will continue to be a major part of what our value prop is for our users. We are doing a lot more work. Journey Builder is a good example. We have actually signed up and we're starting out with Journey Builder now to help our users through that purchase path, and continuing to refine and understand what they're doing so that we can also be helpful to our retail partners to give access to our consumers. So with that, I'll hand off to Bob.
Hello there. Good afternoon. So, this is my clicker. So I'm really excited to be able to speak at this. We've been partners with ExactTarget since 2009. So not an incredibly long time, but for a grocery retailer, a mid-sized, smaller operation, to have any technical partnership that goes that long, that's really an accomplishment, and we're excited about the partnership with them. Raleys is a mid-sized grocery chain in Northern California and Northern Nevada, and we are going through quite a little transition at Raleys. So I'm going to show you a little bit of what we're doing today and what we want to do going forward. The scenarios I'm going to tell you about are grocery-centric. They're coupons and offers and things you'd expect from a grocery store. But hopefully you'll find some relevance and be able to carry this across to your organization and whatever kind of thing you guys are looking at. This question here is kind of epitomizes the transition we're going through at Raleys today. What have you done for me lately versus strategy and long-term growth. This question isn't just one we're trying to answer in the marketing department. We're trying to answer this across the organization. We're a conventional grocer, but we're trying to reimagine some of our conventional expectations around retail performance and customer behavior. And defining our customer journey is a big part of how we're doing that. I'll give you a quick example, again, kind of grocery-centric. A couple years ago, if we had Dungeness crab for half off, and that's a big deal for grocery sales, we would blast out one email to our entire list, do it one time. It would do pretty well, and then a couple weeks would go by, and it'd be forgotten about. You know, what have you done for me lately? Today, if we have Dungeness crab for half off, we're asking ourselves very important questions, and we're executing according to the answers. Who should we tell about this? How do they want to hear about it? Email, SMS, text, social, what have you, or all of the above. When should we tell them? In the morning, in the afternoon, et cetera, and how often? What we want to try to do is influence the customer, not just through an email and, hey, we hope you come in, but we want to try to connect with them and interact with them as they're making their shopping list, on their way to the store, once they're in the seafood department with their mobile app, then after they leave the store, after the transaction, maybe some kind of recipe idea or wine suggestion, something like that. We're taking a look at the customer journey in longer and deeper cycles than just one-off campaigns. And those one-off campaigns really got us stuck in that what have you done for me lately scenario that you see up here. There was an earlier session today with Cara and Haley from the Indy Cultural Trail, those cool yellow bikes, the bike sharing thing out there. And she brought up a great point about not interrupting what the customer is doing, not interrupting what the user is doing. So as we're defining this journey, we're trying to stay in that sweet spot between really giving them what they want, when it's going to help their journey, and being intrusive and like, leave me the heck alone, I don't want your texts anymore. So quickly through the presentation, I'm going to show you a bit about the past from Raleys so you know what kind of organization we are. I'll show you what we're doing in our loyalty program, which is really the umbrella for our customer journey, and some of the things we're looking at as far as using the solutions in the ExactTarget Marketing Cloud. This is a fun quote. We were really happy to hear that one at the office. Until we realized what it means to just innovate. I mean, it's a pretty fun way to just shake us up and say, hey, let's do something. Now, Raleys has had decades of success as a grocer, but it's because we've looked for ways to always innovate and move forward. In 1935, our founder, Tom Raley, started out as an innovator. That's him in the top photo standing in front of the meat case where he said, that's about the 40s or 50s right there, but he said, let's bring the meat out from behind the butcher counter, let's put it in packages so the customer can just get at it. And then more in the 70s, he said, let's tear down the wall between the grocery aisle and the department store aisles and offer a big open, more of a multi-store, kind of like what you'd find in, let's just say, Walmart. Here's a shot of one of our beautiful stores today where we're really focusing on local and produce and health and organics and things of that nature. A snapshot of where we are, some stats for you. So over 1 million loyalty members. We have 118 primary banner locations. About 29, 30 of those you can click and collect, go on our website, order your list, drive and pick it up at a time that you specify as a customer. 11 fuel stations and 8 discount stores. We're fighting tooth and nail week after week against Safeway, Target, Walmart, and obviously Amazon, and we're really feeling the heat from some of these online fulfillment solutions. When a Walmart comes into the neighborhood where we've got a store, it takes a big chunk out of us, and we're leaning on our loyalty program and our customer journey interactions to help lift us above that competition and set a real point of difference for us. Here's a brilliant example of cross-channel marketing. Clearly, the woman on the left has seen the printed newspaper ad that morning. Corn was, in fact, picked out of the field. Came into the store and saw the sign where, yes, the corn was picked at 6 a.m., and that's a real great example of high-tech cross-channel technology. On the right side, you see a shot from today. That's one of our store ambassadors enrolling a customer for our loyalty program. It's called Something Extra, the Something Extra Rewards program. For a long time, Raleys was the supermarket, and we stood on a hill and we said, we're not going to monitor your transactions. We don't want to have a club card. We're going to leave you alone and not look at what you're doing. And that worked for a long time. A couple years ago, we said, you know what? We have to have a loyalty program so that we can serve our customers better. So we launched Something Extra, and a few years ago, we realized that we had to do that. Launching that program really paved the way for our customer journey. We'd been sending out emails before then, but without a really long-term strategy until the loyalty program launched. Here we go. So a bit of a comment about the scope and cadence of the customer journey. So on the left side, obviously, that is a newspaper ad for a grocery store that you might find in your recycle bin at your house every week. That used to be our core communication. That's how the only way we could talk to our customers until they came into the store. So what that did is it divided our our customer journey. Oh, that's a Freudian slip. Holy cow. That divided our customer journey into an unrelated string of 7-day cycles. The ad would come out, and the only way to measure it would to be, say, how'd that week's ad do against the same ad week last year? Well, who knows? And then the journey was broken, and we'd have to start another one. Again, what have you done for me lately? Going back to the first slide, the first question. Now, with one-to-one relevance via email, text, and mobile, we're building a much broader and more diversified journey cycle. We're not just asking what our customers want to see, because they have that Something Extra card. We can see what you buy. Great, you like this particular kind of wine. That's one metric, the what. We're trying to solve for when do you want to hear about it? How often? A lot of people don't want to hear from a grocery store but once a month. Other people want to text at 4 p.m. every day to tell them about a dinner idea. And we're trying to solve for all those scenarios, and we can't do it without some powerful tools for automation and things of that nature, which is what attracted Raleys to the Journey Builder solution, actually. So these are thumbnails of some email campaigns we have. I don't expect you to be able to focus your eyes too closely and look at them, but I'll run through them very quickly. Going from left to right, a customer signs up for the Something Extra program. They're giving a triggered welcome email on the far left side. Once they come in and shop at the bricks and mortar location, they're put into the on-ramp program, which is that six email set in the middle there, where going left to right, the content becomes kind of broad and general, where, hey, we hope you like this offer. You shop, you get the 6 emails, and you get really pointed, relevant, personalized content by the time you're done with the on-ramp, things you really buy. That moves you into the right side of the screen where you've got the monthly cadence, very hyper-personalized offers of things that you want, and then into the quarterly cadence, where you see the not just the offers, but a voucher for your points balance for that quarter. So we're in a pretty good spot at Raleys. We've got our journey defined. It's very one-to-one, very personalized. What we don't have is the automation yet. It's a very manual process. We've got folks in the team, and they're busy managing files, managing content assets, doing target and transactional data with their hands on it, stuff that they don't need to be doing because there are solutions to automate that for them. If we can free up our staff with some automation, then they're free to go actually do marketing and strategize and think about what the next step of the journey is. So we want to automate that flow. We want to build a string of touch points that are triggered by the activities of the individual person, thereby creating a path that takes them from the passive shopper to a loyal customer. And in Journey Builder, Raleys sees a great opportunity to enhance that journey. So I guess in closing, I'd say just a couple things. Again, my examples have been very grocery-centric, but the journey will look different for your organization, obviously. The things that you do may not be exactly what we do, but I think what it boils down to is whoever your client is, B2B, e-commerce, whatever, you got to figure out relevance, customer centricity. What do they want? Let that dictate how you pave that customer journey. The second one is very important, at least we found it was at Raleys. Get everyone in the organization involved. We did a long time in marketing just emailing folks with very little participation. With the loyalty program, we've got everybody from the store operations to the merchandisers to finance. Everybody's in building the content and driving customers towards that journey. So really try to get some buy-in across your enterprise, which is not to say that you can't test and do some smaller things. We've found sometimes at Raleys that if we sit and wait for everything to be perfect, there's a kind of a paralysis that sets in. We would rather just test and try some little things at one of our stores, 5 of our stores, and then something works, you grow that. If you fail, just try again and keep pounding away at that. There's a sign out in one of the hallways that I saw that says, "The journey is the reward." Now that probably, you could read it and interpret a bunch of different ways. For Raleys and for me, I think that's true. The journey is the reward. Because if we can define what this journey is and we pave it for our customers and show that success, I think that's very rewarding. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Awesome. So we have some time for questions. If anyone is interested, you can raise your hand and we'll bring you a microphone. We've got it right there.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she's right there.
Hi, I was wondering if either of you are holding out control groups in your emails so that you can prove incrementality or lift?
Yeah, we do. We've been evolving our email program pretty rapidly, I'd say even lately, where we will hold out sell groups for particular campaigns. What we're starting to do now is we're going to start to hold out entire cohorts so that we can, as we build some of these journeys or build, whether they're automated or they're manual, we can actually just watch a longer term incrementality as opposed to just a campaign-based incrementality.
Yep, we also have control groups in our loyalty program where we have people that should be targeted for a particular communication or an offer. We hold back a percentage to see how they behave had we not reached out to them, and we found it really helps us hone our communications.
I'd say one other note on that, actually related to push notifications, is we've started to do that. We've started to try to do that in push notifications. The technology out there, we've been talking to ExactTarget about what they have to offer here as well, but technology generally out there has not allowed for great control testing within push notifications. So a lot of it is more trending analysis that may not be a true effectiveness read. But we've been testing time zones. A lot of the same constructs that you apply in email, push notification is 10 years behind in some respects. But we're trying to kind of push the envelope there, and some of that stuff we're building, some of that stuff we're partnering for.
I have a question about your data acquisition. What's the best way for you guys that you found to drive traffic so that you're able to capture that information? Is it social? Is it, PPC? Where do you see the most success?
We didn't really hit a huge number of acquisition for our loyalty program until we got other departments involved in the organization. We were doing email subscriptions back in 2006, and the only way you knew about it is if you stumbled across the website. Once we got the stores involved, where the rubber meets the road for bricks and mortar retail, and had the operations group signing folks up proactively, that's when it really started to take off.
We have a mix of sources. PPC is one of them. It's limited for us, and certainly from a cost perspective, we don't want to go too high. Organically, though, just on our site, people are already engaging, especially through the app. We've benefited from a fairly high ranking in our app and lifestyle category, as well as just typically in top 100 in free. So what we did was we launched the onboarding example I showed you. We launched that back in June, and when we started to do that, we didn't find people dropping off. We actually found people wanted to give us information, and we started to organically just generate a lot more information about them through the user flow. And app is a little bit different because you've raised your hand at the beginning. You've started a more direct relationship. But the benefit is that you're also willing to share a little bit more during that conversation. On other devices or online on desktop, what we've tested quite a bit is how to manage the process of the fact that you're there and you're looking for deals. We don't want to get in the way of that. We want to be able to distribute you back to the partners that you're looking for, the stores you're looking for, et cetera. A lot of our users come back to the site after that, though, and they look for more deals. And when they do that, actually, is where we find a lot more acquisition organically. And I'd say certainly we see the quality through our own channels of acquisition. We see a tremendous difference in quality of user than in sources where we may incentivize or go out and actually acquire through paid media.
We're actually, my organization is shopping for ExactTarget and doing our research while we're here. I just wanted to ask, what kind of support do you have internally within your marketing department to do this type of program? Like employee-wise, count, types of talent?
You go first?
You can go.
Okay. I'll tell you, it's grown organically. And again, I keep going back to across the organization. It was just one person for a long time. Then I got a couple folks to help with content each week. It was, and this probably isn't a fair comparison because grocery is an old school organization. I would like to think most organizations are going to ramp up more quickly than we did. But I'll jump to the answer then. Right now, to sustain the things you saw on some of my slides, we've got half a dozen people who get content and offers together and do targeting, a couple people who actually build the email. We've recently added some folks on the analytics side to see what happens afterwards. So I would say, depending on the size of your organization, it should be at least a third of your advertising and marketing department, hopefully a lot more than that.
Yeah, I would say from our standpoint, we consider ourselves, we're a technology company, and we have spent. We're not a very old company, but we've built a decent amount of things internally. We have a pretty sizable engineering and product force. So from a marketing standpoint, we have gradually built up our CRM team to focus on these areas. But a lot of it has just been prioritization and shifting where we're spending our time as the model has shifted for us. So we haven't exactly ramped up in a huge degree and added a ton of headcount because what we've really been spending time on is understanding, can the tool do a lot of that work? Do you have the right people who can actually use the tool? And I think that's where we've just kind of tried to build and expand skill sets to manage that.
So Bob, in your last slide, you had in step 2, get everybody on board. And I wonder if you have any tips for how to socialize the idea of the journeys you selected, or even just more of the high level, here's why we're going down this path?
Yeah, well, to be frank, again, grocery, it took a change in the vision at the leadership level to really say, hey, and again, this is for grocery, but people are online, hello, get on board. But more the things I was dealing with was showing our merchant group who deal with people like Kraft, Coca-Cola, General Mills, who are used to coming into Raleys building and saying, you will promote this, to say, hey, if we have some data and we know which customers to give this content to, we can push back on the vendors and be in the driver's seat and say, no, we need that offer and not that one. So I think it's showing the other folks in the building how the things you want to do will support and bolster the things they're already working on, as opposed to, hey, here's a whiz-bang technology, isn't this cool?
How about you, Brett, along those lines?
What we've found is our retailers have helped us lead this conversation in the sense that, our retailers that we work with always have a lot of needs, but primarily it's customer acquisition, it's incremental revenue in the form of, either higher average transaction size, more items in the basket, things of that nature. And what it's allowed us to do is piggyback on the needs of our retailers and essentially say, we need to continue to invest in these areas, and the way to invest in these areas is to give ourselves a more robust offering for our outgoing channels and keep investing in there and really driving more incrementality through those channels. So it's kind of been it's sort of the perfect storm from our standpoint. It's been really helpful. And what we've then found is this momentum play, I'd say, and with the acquisition and the size of our audience, and it's just a kind of virtuous cycle of audience size, increased engagement, better relevant content, and then we're essentially meeting the needs of all of our partners. So all those things together has really built this kind of momentum for us to keep investing in the area, which has been really nice.
Bob, I actually have a question for you. You had the series of emails that you were sending out. I believe they were all emails. It was the daily, then the weekly, then the monthly, and it seemed like your trigger was really the loyalty program sign up to drive that. And then you'd mentioned kind of those big stores that you might have that you're competing against in your neighborhood. Are you using an affinity change as a trigger at this point to reach out to somebody? So if you notice somebody hasn't used their loyalty card in 60 days, 90 days, or whatever you consider to be an unacceptable period, as an opportunity to reach out?
Those are the things that we're on the cusp of doing. Everything we showed you on that slide that you're talking about is just what happens when we reach out. We finally have a team in place to say, okay, we reached out, what happened? How do we get the folks who didn't respond? How do we get the folks who responded but not how we thought they would? So we're right on the cusp of doing some of those activities, but we're not there yet. And we are, again, looking for some of the automation and the solutions we're talking about with ExactTarget Marketing Cloud to free up our resources to let those campaigns run so that they can focus on those follow-ups.
Great. I think I might have heard the word journey builder in there somewhere. Not that
Yes, it was implied deeply.
Any other questions? Well, let's give them a great round of applause. It was wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Yep.